A very good morning to Doctor and also to my fellow classmates. My name is Hu Huaiming and today I'm representing Group 7. My group members are Shafiq, Chia, Leong, Shirley and also Yiling. And today the most recent topic that we actually choose that is related to science and technology is actually cultured meat. So yeah, these are the table of contents. So basically, I'm going to talk a bit on the introduction of culture meat, the objective of why this culture meat is made, some main points of this culture meat that's actually related to science and technology, and also the conclusion. Yeah. So yeah, a brief introduction to this culture meat is that this culture meat is actually not real meat made from animals. Instead, it is actually grown in lab, and yeah, as you can see here, it is produced in bioreactors, and it doesn't actually involve the slaughter of animal, and instead it is actually produced in vitro, which means that it's produced through animal cells. So the reason why we produce culture meat is to satisfy the increasing demand of food, because yeah, there's a lot of people needing food but not enough to actually fulfill their demands. So because yeah, the human population is growing rapidly in this whole world. So even though this culture meat might sound like a very, very good initiative, but there's a lot of consideration to be taken into, as it involves a lot of ethical issues. Yeah. So yeah, the objective of this cultured meat is actually for us to decrease the number of animals killed for food serving purposes, and through this cultured meat, we can create a more sustainable and ethical global food system. Yeah. So in a way, it causes less harm to our environment, because if we consume real meat, it will actually indirectly contribute to greenhouse gas emission, land and also water use, which is very, very harmful to our environment. And yeah, through this culture meat actually offers a few benefits. And yeah, the benefits are often to our environment, animal, and also to our human health. So um if we consume culture meat instead of real animal meat, we can actually ensure our global food security. Yeah. So yeah, here are some of the examples of the meat lah. This is culture meat, and this is like real culture meat lah. Yeah, in a replacement of the real meat. Yeah. So moving on, I'm going to talk about a few points related to this culture meat that actually relates it to science and technology. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the religion's view on culture meat. So this culture meat is actually been around for quite some time, and there are like a few different religious there are a few different religion that actually commented on this cultured meat. So it has become a quite huge cultural debate lah among people. And some of the examples of religion I'm going to talk about today is Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and also Judaism, which actually comprises of almost half of the global population. And yeah, each religion actually has like specific rules and also customs around their meat consumption. So yeah, first of all, I'm going to talk about Islam. So in Islam, they argue that based on the Quran scripture, culture meat is actually halal if it's like used from halal slaughtered animals, and no blood or actually any animal based serums and also biological fluids is involved lah. So it will be considered halal and also safe to consume by the Islam people. So moving on to Hinduism. So Hinduism mainly focus on like Hinduism which consume vegetarian food. So they actually see cultured meat as a way to actually avoid harming the animals, and yeah, this is very good for them. And for some of them, they actually decided that cultured meat is actually they can actually consume it lah. Mm. And also um some actually suggested that cultured beef is not acceptable by them, even though it's not really made from animal meat, as in Hinduism, cows are considered as like their sacred gods, and also their the thing that they look up to lah. Mm. And then moving on to Judaism. So in Judaism, they said that the cultivation process of the cultured meat actually enables the cells to actually lose their original identity, and it will say like it actually allows them to lose their original identity, so they cannot actually define it as forbidden to actually consume. So yeah, they think that it's okay to consume it as long as it undergoes like cultivation process lah and doesn't really involve animal. Mm. And then moving on to Buddhism. So for Buddhism, there's actually quite less research on this. And normally Buddhism monks, they will say that they refrain from eating meat lah, no matter it's cultured or not cultured or made from like real animals. They just conclude that they cannot eat meat, even though it's not really from animal meat. Yeah. So moving on to the next subtopic is actually the importance of value systems and ethics. So in this specifically, I'm going to talk about cultured meat lah. So this cultured meat is actually very very important as it can feed more people while decreasing the amount of animals harm in the process. This is because like in cultured meat we only use animal cells as like the starting material by using like biotechnology techniques. So we do not actually involve real meat in this lah. Mm. And then besides that, we also provide sustainable food resources to actually help with fruit shortages um by the involvement of cultured meat. So this because like if we use real meat to actually meet the demands of human, it's very very unsustainable, and yeah, due to the high demand, we cannot actually meet everyone's demand lah and also needs. And then by using cultured meat, it brings less harm to the environment. This is because like if we consume cultured meat, the energy use will be reduced by 45%, the greenhouse gas emission will be by 96%, land use by 99%, and water use by 96%, according to the tentative LCA. So from what we can see, cultured meat is very, very effective in reducing harm and also reducing its negative impact towards the environment. So we can say that this cultured meat actually has a huge advantage over real meat in terms of environmental concerns. Okay, so sorry. Okay, so yeah, cultured meat also actually is a healthier alternative to real meat to the consumers. This because like in cultured meat, the toxic components are actually reduced during the processing of this cultured meat. And also if we make cultured meat by ourselves, we can actually add on like healthy components to the meat. Yeah. So I would say that cultured meat is actually a healthy alternative when compared to the real animal meat. Mm. Okay, so moving on is the role of science in this culture meat. So I'm going to talk about like how culture meat is made from in vitro culture of animal cell tissue. So first of all, we actually acquire these stem cells from an animal through like animal banks and also like cell banks. And then the scientists will actually feed and nurture these cells in a test tube or like in a petri dish so that they can like multiply to create muscle tissue. So these muscle tissues are like the main components of the meat that we actually consume. And yeah, after that, the cells are like fed with oxygen-rich cell culture medium made of like basic nutrients and also added with some proteins and growth factors to enable this meat to reproduce quickly and um create more and more cells lah. Mm. So after that, they take these cells and they actually grow it in bioreactors at high density and high volumes to enable a faster growth. And due to like this scaffolding structure in this bioreactor, the changes in the medium composition occur, and this triggers immature cells to actually differentiate to a lot of different types of tissue lah, such as skeletal muscles, fats, and connective tissues, and this make up the meat. And yeah, these cells actually grow into like a lot of small strands, and a fact is that 20,000 of these small strands of meat are enough to actually be combined to create a one normal size hamburger. And this process normally takes about 2 to 8 weeks depending on like what kind of meat that we want to culture. Yep, so actually this is like a brief picture of this bioreactor. So first of all, we put the media in like this media feed tank, then we put them into bioreactor and we like provide them oxygen here, and yeah, basically we will remove the media and also produce the meat lah at the end by the cell harvesting. Yeah, and this is like a brief infographic on how meat is actually produced in lab lah. So yep. In conclusion, we actually believe that this cultured meat has the potential to become a useful tool in addressing various environmental and food security concerns. But despite this, we still need like a lot of further data and further analysis to actually be done to actually investigate more and to overcome any possible challenges. So these are like the reference that we use in our proposal. And yeah, thank you all for actually listening. And yeah, hope you all learned something from our proposal lah.